Hello everybody, Headspace Connections here, back with another video. As we said, we were going to start talking a little bit more about communication with trouble alters, I guess you could call them. We have, personally for us, and then some other, like we're on some groups on Facebook about DID, OSDD and stuff like that, where this question comes up a lot, or this situation comes up a lot. And then we've also had some ask us, personally, how do you deal with this situation of a persecutor, troubled alter that's, causing problems and you don't know what to do with them or how to help them. We have had, there was one that was had so many issues out of everybody for us personally. So we have experienced this before. And from our personal experience, I can tell you that this does work, but you have to be very, very, very patient sometimes, because they will test you. That's what they do sometimes, is they test people to see if you're true, so to speak, or real in wanting to get to know them. But number one is communication. Have you let them know in a gentle but firm way, how their behavior is affecting you and everybody else, Two is listening. Do you know what's causing them to act that way? Have you ever asked them, what's going on? What's worrying you that makes you react this way? You don't want to say scare them. You don't want to say what's scaring you, because a lot of time that's just going to set them off in a bad way. So usually, safe word is what's worrying you that makes you, react this way to this certain person or this certain situation. Now, 3, examine. Are they just as valued as the rest of the system, or is there some, disparity, some kind of favoritism going on? Do they know that you're there to try to help them, or are you pushing them away, because they're causing trouble? Are you treating them like you don't want to deal with them? And we have seen that with a lot of systems that ask us, is like they, sometimes they'll try to talk to them for a little bit, but then after a while it doesn't work. And they start, they've even told us, it's like, I hate them. I can't do anything with them. It's like, they know that. That's why they're giving you so many problems. That's why they push you to your breaking point, because they know that you don't like them. And 4 is resources. Do they know how to deal with what's going on, what they're struggling with? Is there someone they can talk to? If they don't feel like there's anyone there they can actually communicate with, that can also be contributing to some problems. And, other considerations is, are you labeling them? And do these labels have negative connotations by you or anybody else in the system? You hear of terms like the suicidal one, the harmful one, whatever, the anxious one, the depressed one. It's like, what are the labels that you are giving them? It's like, we even did a video talking about NPCs. What is an NPC? And, what kind of connotation does it have? And a majority of the time, when you hear of systems or people that refer to NPCs, whether it be in video games or in systems, they're considered worthless characters, so to speak. So it's labels. You may not think about it, but they are super important. And then something else is, how do you speak to them, to other people? Like, when you talk about them, is it always negative? Do you ever talk about any of their good points? Because despite how many bad points they have, I'm pretty sure if you looked hard enough, you could find at least 1 or 2 good points about them. This is one of those situations where looking for the good points in somebody is going to be extremely helpful in being able to deal with them. And, like, do you put them down? Do you share their personal information without their consent? This is some things that, you may not think about on a daily basis, but you have no idea what the effect it could have on a trouble alter, I guess would be or a persecutor. Could also be along the same lines. In the past, was their behavior actually helpful? Did it actually help get you guys through certain situations? Do they even realize that the behaviors that they have now are even necessary for the time that you guys are living in? Like, because you could still be having problems, but you may not be in that same abusive situation that you were in before. But do they know that? You might know it, but do they know it? And and another thing that probably a lot of people don't realize is, like, are you interacting with a lot of drama or negativity, whether it be online or in real life? Because that of negativity and all that stress can affect them too. Or could it be, like, negativity in general affecting you or them or the troubled alter in general? I say persecutors, but this could really go along the lines with any alter that is troubled in general, whether it be homicidal, suicidal, depressive, whatever. Some activities that you guys can try, you guys can try to invite the alter to, either draw, write, scribble, or paint, maybe some art therapy, to help them release and help kind of talk about what they feel, what is making them act that way. Reassure the alter that the behavior that they have, it's not needed anymore. Basically trying to help them understand that they don't have to do that anymore. And, show them, if possible, if there's a way you can show them that you guys aren't living in that same situation anymore, because they may not know. Ask for their input on a project. I know what was more of a breakthrough for us in dealing with our persecutor at the time was that when we started drawing everybody's portraits, basically the way we do it is whoever's the one that's drawing them will start the process, but we'll ask for that alter's input. Like, if something isn't quite right, they'll say, no, my eyes are more like this, or something's more like this or that. Get their input on a project. Doesn't necessarily have to be drawing. For us is what was a turning point. But, just get their input on something. Ask them. You can also invite them to work together with you on a project, like kind of similar to our drawing portraits. If you like to write, ask them what could be added. Like, you want to learn how to word it properly, because if this is a persecutor that tends to be verbally abusive, kind of learn a little wording tricks. Like, don't necessarily ask them like yes or no questions, something that they don't have to talk about much, or any way that could kind of make it to where it could just be a constant negative feedback. It's like, they may kind of fight you a little bit on it with any kind of feedback they can give negatively, but after a while, when they start to realize that it's like, okay, you're really wanting my opinion on this, then you'll start to notice kind of a change in their mentality, I guess you could say. And they start to take you a little more seriously. But so if you're a writer, you could try writing a story. Make videos. You don't necessarily have to be a vlogger or anything. Vlogger, is that what they call them? For video blogs? Yeah. Do you got your guys' own personal videos? Do like your own little thing. Or even if you do have an account of some kind and use it to post like anything, tips and stuff for helpful for DID, have their input on it. Have them help you with it, because you may be surprised by what they have to say. Now, of course, this one I think was also a really good one for us, is gift them. Give them something that they would like, that they would be able to call their own. With our persecutor at the time, he was modern, from modern times, I guess you could say. But he had a very 20s, 30s, very retro style. And he really liked feathered pens and feathered pens, pocket watches, but his favorite were knives. Kind of ironic, but that's what we would do. We, would go to a pawn shop or would go to a store that we know sold knives at a decent price, and we would let him pick one out. And it's like, here, this is yours. It sounds like it was kind of a setup for disaster, but believe it or not, he never, he also was a cause of self-harm and stuff like that, but he never, ever, if there was ever time that he came out and had a self-harm episode, he never used that knife. And we know this because he was never exactly a clean person, so he would always leave his evidence behind. But from what we noticed, he never ever used that knife, or any knife that he was ever gifted. But, after a while, when we started working with him more and we started, showing him that I wanted to be able to trust him, I wanted to be able to work with him and have a decent relationship going, that he started to change. And eventually it got to where he told me that he was just like, I can't do this anymore. I don't want to play the bad guy. I'm tired. And he did. He ended up becoming one of our main protectors. And he was a good one, a very chaotic one, but he was a freaking good one. I will give him that. Now, communication, obviously, it shouldn't be pressured, forced, or demanded, because obviously, if you can think about your past, when people would ask you, what's the usual answer you get? Oh, I'm fine. When you knew you were just completely lying and about to fall apart. So not all alters are going to be willing to talk at first. That's just a given. Some of them are going to be a little more chatty than others. And some of them you're really going to have, it'll be like pulling teeth trying to talk to them. But that's okay. Let everybody have that time to get used to the idea. Be open and be welcoming. And then when they're ready, they'll reach out. Eventually, ours did. He still had some issues he had to work on, but compared to what it didn't even care, just as long as things were starting to function smoothly. Now, obviously, continue to be kind, patient, and understanding. You guys have been through a lot. You and your alters have been through so much throughout your lives. That's what they're there for. They were there to protect you. And usually the ones that cause the most issues were the ones that hold the most hurt and pain. And keep in mind, there's no such thing as a bad or evil alter. Again, that goes with the negative connotations. All alters are capable of growth and recovery. And even those that are hearing this right now, if you are considered the troubled alter in your system, you have that chance. You are capable of being able for that growth and change. You just have to decide when you want to do it. But don't let anybody tell you or title you something that isn't true, and if they are, prove them wrong. show them that just because everybody thinks that you're this or thinks that you're that, show them otherwise. And if you're seeing, it's like, and if you guys are seeing a therapist or a professional, tell that troubled alter what you guys do during therapy. Especially if they're ones that tend to kind of try to fight the therapist and fight therapy. For those moments of time where you actually do get a chance to talk to the therapist or things like that. Or even if willing, ask them to be co-con with you during the therapy session and tell the therapist that they're there. And if the therapist knows what they're doing, they're going to be able to kind of tailor it a little bit so that's not invasive, so that this alter will feel comfortable. You're going to have some moments where it's going to get a little uncomfortable, but that's just how it's a process. That was the word. That was the word I was looking for. It just out for a second. And for us, our personal experiences now this is when we find any new alter that's either hasn't shown themselves or is a brand new one. There is 3 rules that we will tell every single one of them. Even troubled caretakers, it doesn't matter, whoever it is. But we have 3 rules, 3 generic rules. And I think this is kind of what's helped our system stay functioning decently without too many issues. And number 1 is don't hurt anybody else. We don't specify alter or people. We said do not hurt anybody else. Everybody else has already been through enough pain and suffering, and we are not going to condone it by adding more to it. That's like I was saying, being gentle but firm, and you're not specifying anything, and you're not implying anything either. Number 2 is don't make fun of another alter. It's like we all know how hard coming out is, or dealing with things are in general. So don't be making fun of anybody who is starting to try to communicate to everybody else or to somebody else. Because talking out and speaking out is hard enough as it is without somebody adding more to it to make it that much harder. And then the 3rd rule is don't break another person's trust. Like, this has some flexibility in it. If, say there's an alter that confides in them, and they would prefer to be kept secret until they feel comfortable enough to come out with that, keep that to yourself. Don't tell anybody else about it. Just keep it there. Because that took a lot for them to be able to trust you in it. Now, the only situation where we put that it's okay to start telling somebody is if things start getting kind of serious, more in a self-harming way, or something that's going to cause a lot of problems for the rest of the system. If a situation like that comes up, no, you talk. Because we need to be able to take care of things like that. But overall, if it's not really anything super major, keep it to yourself. Keep that trust. Do not break it, because that trust is so difficult to obtain to begin with anyway. And like I said, we say these rules to most every alter that shows up, and we've really had not that many problems. Most everybody seems pretty compliant with them, because they're not hard rules to follow. They're simple. Be nice. Don't cause trouble if you can help it. But that's about it on communication that we have. If you guys like this video, or if you guys have any, you can hit the like if you want. If you guys have any other questions that you guys would like us to go over. I know we do have some more that we are going to do that are based on different things and go into a little more detail on some other things. We're trying not to give spoilers. It kind of sounds funny how we say it though. But yeah, but stay tuned, you guys. If there's anything you guys want us to talk about in particular, feel free to leave a comment down below. And or if you just want to talk, comment down below, or you can hit us up on our Instagram or Pinterest. We go under the name Headspace Connections there too. If you guys want to be friends on Facebook, you'll have to ask us for that, because we kind of keep things separated, certain people and other people, it's just one of those things. But that's all we got for right now, and we'll see you guys next time for our next video. Hope you guys enjoyed. We'll see you next time. Bye.